Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Happy Wednesday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. And if you're watching us on YouTube, and you should be, we are joined in studio by brand new Chicago Wolves head coach Brock Sheahan. Brock, thanks for being here again. Last time we saw you, you were the coach of the Steel. Next time we see you, you'll be the coach of the Montreal Canadiens. So congratulations and welcome back. It's good to have you.
No, thanks for having me again. I don't know about that, but yeah, no, very excited to be a part of the Wolves and the Hurricanes organizations.
We'll let you get settled into the Wolves job first before we look at any further ahead there. But yeah, I guess jumping right into it, what has this transition kind of been like for you, going from the Steel to the Wolves? Especially at a time in the offseason where you don't really get like a long runway to go to before the season starts.
Yeah, the timing, to quote the Steel owner, Larry Robbins, is not ideal. When I had brought it up to him, and it actually was part of the decision-making process for my wife and I. You know, we've had a great experience with our family with the Steel for the last 4 years, and the relationships that we have there, I think, will be everlasting, and it was really hard to make that decision. That being said, the Steel have a great team for next season. They have a great staff. They're going to be just fine, and it was an opportunity for my career, for my family, with not having to move and being a part of 2 great organizations in Carolina and the Chicago Wolves that we just felt like we could not pass up.
What was that talk like with the players when you let them know you were going?
Well, it was really tough. We did a great job as a staff, and the Wolves in Carolina keeping it quiet. There was actually a tweet 2 minutes before our Zoom call. I got one of my former players that had moved on had texted the old text group, but that came through right as Larry and myself were telling the players. It definitely emotional, but honestly, I think it shows the relationships that we've had with our players there. The vast majority of guys, I'd say everybody reached out, but very supportive, a lot of positivity from the group. So that was really nice for me, especially with just the emotions of leaving a place that you love.
Obviously, the goal at any level is to win, but you're going from the Steel, who were the class of the USHL. They wanted to win, a Clark Cup every season. You go to the Wolves, who have a long history. They are the reigning Calder Cup champions. That's always their main goal, along with the development. So how is that kind of like a transition, knowing that, like, hey, the goal here is, yes, developing for the Hurricanes, but ultimately we want to repeat as Calder Cup champs? Yeah,
I think that, expectations for the Wolves and the organization and everybody involved is to win, right? Which is what we had done in Chicago with the Steel the last 4 years. I think the reason we won with the Steel was because of how we developed our players. So I feel like both can be done, and I feel like winning is a byproduct of developing players the right way. And that's the plan that I have with the staff that we have with the Wolves, to continue to do the things we've done in Chicago, or with the Steel. I keep saying Chicago, it's confusing. But also I think things that they've done with the Wolves. And then add to what they've done from a development model, to be quite honest. Push the envelope in how Carolina's prospects are developing with the Wolves.
Going into this now new coaching position, from that perspective behind the bench, what kind of goes into your mindset, changing from being a coach and being a voice in a locker room full of teenagers to guys that are older, played in the professional ranks, sometimes over a decade played that long. How do you change that as a coach to kind of adapt to the new environment you're going into?
Yeah. I think in the interview process, I talked about this a lot, and then talking to guys that I know have made this transition. Actually, a couple of coaches that I know that have made the transition from the USHL with the national team, and Seth Appert, and to Rochester, and Greg Moore with the Chicago Steel, to the Marlies. My plan isn't to change who I am. I feel like no matter how old a player is, they want to get better. And if you can explain why you're doing something, you're going to get those guys on your side and build those relationships immediately. Once September 12th, I'm in rookie camp in Carolina, and then through the NHL camp into our camp with the Wolves. It starts October 3rd. That's my plan. with adjustments here and there, understanding that for some of these guys, I will be talking to adults that have played 10 years, 12 years of pro hockey. On the other hand, a vast majority of the roster, especially this Chicago Wolves roster, it's going to be ages that I've coached the last 5 years, or even if you look into college, the guys that are 96s, 97s that I coached previously, that have grown up in an environment where in the summer they're getting a ton of individual attention, they're doing individual video, where they want that information. You know, that's what today's player wants, and the program I've been a part of the last 4 years, I think we've provided that at a high level, and I think there's a lot of transferables at this level especially.
Has anything since your transition from the USHL to the AHL surprised you? Any sort of challenges that maybe you weren't expecting?
Just the challenge for me right now is I expected to be coaching practice tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I'm like, now it's just getting building relationships with the new staff, and then getting ready to go to camp in Carolina on September 12th. Yeah, so I haven't got into the day-to-day, right? I've been talking about what our schedule is going to look like. I have an idea what our roster is going to look like, but not in depth, and I haven't even started to dig into the players yet, which I will this week watching video. But nothing yet has surprised me. I played pro hockey for 6 years. I understand it's a business. But at the end of the day, all these guys want to get better. They want to get to the next level, and it's going to be my job to make sure that we're doing that to the highest level.
It's got to be an interesting change, you know, and I'm sure you'll have a probably better answer for this as the season goes on. But with the Steel, you're not really answering to a higher program. Now you're sort of beholden to what the Hurricanes want to do. How much have they been in your ear so far about, even from not, you know, running a practice to systems you're going to deploy? You know, do they allow you to kind of do your own thing with the Wolves, or do they want to have some sort of control on, you know, the systems that are played, where guys play, how often guys play? Yeah. How has that come about so far?
I think this is something what we've talked a lot about through the interview process. And if I was running an NHL program, I would not want there to be a certain amount of connection between the American League team and the NHL program. So that when guys get called up, there's a cohesiveness in how they play. They're connected to the style of play. And in talking to Rod, Brendan Moore, and talking to Don Waddell and Darren York, like, there's expectations that there's certain things in our game that will be similar. The good thing is, in watching the video, there's a lot of similarities between how Carolina plays and what we did with the Steel. It's not exactly the same. There's different variances in, you know, ozone but as far as the identity of the Carolina Hurricanes, which is playing fast, aggressive on the forecheck, the way they reload, there's a lot of things. I was watching video with the Wolves staff on Monday morning. I was like, man, that looks exactly like what we would do in the neutral zone. So there's a lot of connection there. And then for me as a coach, I find that as a good challenge to broaden my knowledge and learn different ways to play the game. There's not one way to do it. The way that they've done it in Carolina the last 3 or 4 years, has been very effective. You look at the way the Wolves played last year with Ryan Zawaski as the head coach, and connected to how Carolina played. There's a lot of fun watching the video I've watched so far. So there's definitely communication at all times, but I think it's our goal to make sure those players are ready when they're needed to play up there. They're plugged right in, and they're connected immediately.
It's interesting how the Steel, the Wolves, and the Hurricanes, all successful teams, have played similar styles. It's interesting how that works out.
Yeah, I think that in today's game, you know, there's the skill and speed and talent of today's player. It's amazing to watch, you know, and that's like, from a style of play, the pace of game, the way how fast, how hard players work off the puck, whether it's to get pucks back or support their teammates. There's a lot of similarities there. When
you look at, you know, your experience playing professionally, how much do you pull from that now going into this role?
Yeah, I obviously I didn't play a ton at the American League. I spent time there, but I know at times, talking to other pros as well, they feel like they didn't get better in their career. There's no reason that shouldn't happen. It's not just through playing games. Like, there's enough time in the schedule, the day-to-day schedule. It's a long season, but to get better. And that's something that I feel like, whether we have a 30-year-old veteran to try to extend his career, or we have a 20-year-old high-end draft pick, that's what they want, and that's what I wish I had in my career, to be quite honest.
You mentioned briefly Rob Brendamore, who's quickly become one of the most respected NHL coaches. On a personal level, how is that now, knowing that you have him to work with and kind of sponge off of as you progress in your coaching career?
It's extremely exciting. It was during the interview process, I think Rod and I talked like 30, 35 minutes. I can't remember, maybe 40 minutes on the phone. And just being able to go to camp September 12th, I'll be there a couple days early, sit down with the Carolina staff, go through the details, the habits they're looking for, how they want to play, how they go about implementing these things, seeing them interact with their players at that level. Like it's an invaluable experience, I think. That alone made me almost like jump out of my chair when we were going through the interviewing process. I just and any person that I've talked to about Rod has just had nothing but good things to say, and you see how his players play for him. To see it firsthand, I think is going to be very exciting.
So a lot of coaches have their own little methods of motivation or methods of team bonding. Like we see the Bears' new coach has the HITS principle, which teaches his players like how to hustle and finish every play. And Joe Madden, when he was managing the Cubs, would have a petting zoo and all these sort of like bonding activities. What are some of the things you do as a coach for your teams to start the season to get guys connected, feeling part of the team?
Yeah, honestly, I've never had anything like that. It's more been just the day-to-day interaction. When it's the right opportunity, doing something as a team, making sure I communicate with our players as much as possible. Like that, I just think they just seeing me as a normal person, and that I genuinely care. And there's nothing behind it. Basically, I want the player to get better. I think they feel it, and that's my honestly, that's my plan. Just be who I am. Our door will always be open. I'll be in the weight room with the guys. I'll stay on the ice late. Whatever they want to watch video-wise, I'll watch with them, and just get to know that we're all in this together. That was something I think we did an amazing job of at the Steel, and at the pro level. I know it can be different, but I don't plan on changing that.
I think players can see through that stuff a little bit. Some of the Bears players have been asked about it, and they're, they roll their eyes about the whole thing, and they get the whole idea of it. But I think, I was reading some stories about you before the interview began, and the thing that comes up in every story is communication, and how the Hurricanes organization wanted someone who was going to communicate clearly with the players, and we had that, what we thought with the Blackhawks with Jeremy Colleton, but it turned out it was actually the opposite. And what players, I think anybody that works in any business, from the leadership, they just want honesty and clarity, and know where you stand. And that seems to be a big part of the reason why the Hurricanes trusted you.
You can do something with. You might not like the information. Right. You might love the information I give it. But you can do something with it. And then, I think one thing, if you ask any of the players that have played for me the last 4 years, they genuinely feel like they're getting better because of that investment. And then it kind of just feeds off of it, right? Like they feel like they can feel that genuine care. Not that you're going over the top. It's basically just being there when they need you, and then making sure that you're pushing them to get better. And every player is different, and the only way that you can find that out is by actually talking to them. You know what I mean? And learn, oh man, that does not work for this guy at all. Or this guy needs a little bit different approach. I can get on this person a little bit more because that works for him. But you don't find that out if you don't ask the right questions, and if you're not, I try to, in one form or another throughout the week, have some type of individual conversation. With a hockey team, it's very possible. Football team, not so much. It's a huge roster. But with a hockey team full of, at our level, last year we carried like 28. That's a lot of guys. We'll have less with the Wolves. I think it's more than doable with how much you're at the rink. And it makes a big difference in getting them to invest in what you're asking them to do.
Well, we've got a lot of Blackhawks fans watching, so I'm going to get to the elephant in the room here. Hawks are definitely trying to get one of those top picks in next year's draft, whether they get to that point or not. But they're making it. They're paving the way to get one of those top 3 picks.
They're doing their best.
They are, or is it their worst? I don't know how you determine it, but
it's both.
There's some excitement as far as where the Hawks are going to pick next year. Obviously, Connor Bedard is the consensus number one. That's the proverbial pot of gold at the end of the losing rainbow this season. But if they don't get number 1, they get number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
There's Adam Fantilli sitting there. Nobody knows him better than you right here. You coached him the last 2 seasons. If the Hawks were to draft him next year, how excited should Hawks fans be? What kind of player is he?
Man, they should be ecstatic. We had Owen Power with the Steel. Obviously, an elite player. You look at what he's already done with the Sabres. Brendan Brisson, who's going to play for Vegas, first-round draft pick. Matt Coronado, who will eventually, if you watched him, at the World Juniors, him and Mackie Samoskevich, 2 first-round picks. Matt with the Flames, Mackie with Florida. Adam's talent level is ridiculous. I don't know if we've had a player with the pure physical talent that Adam Fantilli has, the way he skates, how explosive he is, the way he shoots a puck, how the power forward, the new age power forward that he actually is, like how physical he plays the game of hockey compared to most players nowadays. Just the way how strong he is on a puck, finishes a check, and then the improvements he made from like a hockey sense, cognitive standpoint, the way he's seeing the game at a much higher rate than he did when we first got him instead of being a one-on-one player. I think his game is so translatable to the NHL. It's going to be exciting to see what he does. He's playing hard hockey next year too. He's playing college hockey. He's not playing another year junior. You know what I mean? Which I think is going to. He's playing against men. It's going to whether he plays 1 or 2 years, it's going to prepare him to come and be able to play. Owen Power, Cale Makar, like you see these guys that have done that route or similar route. I would be jumping out of my seat if I'm a Hawks fan and you get him.
You mentioned
that sounds great.
He's going to University of Michigan. There's kind of the discussion you have a lot with prospects that maybe it's better to go to college because you actually have more time to work on developing fewer games, so more practice time, more weight room time, stuff like that. Do you think for a guy like Adam going to a top college program is maybe a better option long term than playing juniors?
I think long term it was a great decision by him and his family, and the people that are around him advising him. He's a late birthday. If he played major junior, he'd be in his 3rd year of junior hockey. It would be ridiculous. Like he would destroy whatever league he's playing. If he played in the USHL, if he played in the OHL, like it would have been comical, For him to play 2 years of junior hockey, play 62 games in a season, still have a mix of the development piece because we're playing just during the week, and then instead of playing junior for a 3rd year, go to college where he's going to grow up off the ice even more than he ever has, having to go to school, just the social aspect of things, which prepares him for life as a real human being besides a hockey player, and then playing against men. There's less games, but every game matters more in college. So it's a different experience than what pro will be, but he's had that pro-isk schedule, right, at junior. I think it's a great route that if you look, more and more guys are doing. You could look at the Steel right now, the 206s they tendered. Those are guys that are first overall picks in the Western League, and Michael Hague was 9th overall in the OHL. He would have gone top 5.
Well, we both know he should have gone to Notre Dame, but whatever. That's fine. We were talking to Drew Comesso at Blackhawks development camp, and he was talking about making that jump to college and how you were talking about the off-the-ice development as a man, but even physically, the facilities they have at these giant colleges are nothing compared to what the junior teams have. It's night and day. Yeah. So the physical growth he'll undergo as well.
And they're able to be there in the summer, right? Yeah. They train in the summer. They take summer classes. And that's the thing. Adam is physically gifted, and everyone says he is. If you look at him, you would think he's physically tapped out. But from the stuff that we saw in Chicago and from some of the testing, he's not there yet. He's not a man. He's still going to get faster. He's still going to get more explosive, which is absolutely scary.
We got a question in our chat here asking about Adam Fantilli being able to be a legitimate center at the NHL level.
He's a natural center. He is. I just look at his off the puck play, how smart he was for us, with the way we played our D zone, where it's not center low, it's first forward back. He's able to play all 3 positions. He's great on faceoffs, and you want that guy with the puck in the middle of the rink. And then defensively, he is really good.
Strong, young, great at face-off center sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a player that
He
I
drives a lot of
guys.
offense. Like you look at the U18 Canada team, Bedard was on it. Bedard scored 7 goals. I think Adam had led the team in points in the tournament. He only scored 1 goal, but he drives the play. Like he drives the play. You know.
To kind of quickly circle back to, the AHL and the Wolves. You mentioned earlier Greg Moore. He was the coach of the Steel before you. He got the same promotion as you did and then Ryan Hardy as well.
Yeah.
Both going with Toronto in the AHL. Have you talked to them at all since then to kind of get a little, hey, what's the deal here?
Yeah, for sure. Ryan is a great mentor, great friend. Same with Greg. Just kind of picking their brain about the transition, what's different. Like for Greg, we've talked a lot. We still have a lot of conversations about what, from a practice standpoint, he changed. We haven't really got into that, but I was more leaning on him about the opportunity, or both of them, and they were such great people to lean on about what's the right next step and are these things in place. Like they were so supportive in the decision, and I just think there's definitely going to be different challenges. The good thing about working for the Chicago Steel is it's not like a normal junior program. We're ran at a very high level. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of parts to juggle. And from talking to Greg, it prepared him and he works, with the Toronto Maple Leafs, where they have the most resources. He has a lot of pieces to manage, more than I'll have. So it was a good preparation, definitely working for the Steel.
I haven't dove into the schedule that much. Do you guys have Toronto on the schedule?
We do not this year.
That'd be
No,
too bad.
that's the first thing I looked at.
We need to do.
Yeah,
we need to call. We need to call
they did.
Springfield and say, hey, I think the Ice Hogs are playing Toronto. Maybe we need to switch that around a little bit. We need a Greg Moore versus Brock Sheahan.
I think the way it's set up, playoff wise, is obviously possible. So we'll see.
So we talked a little bit about a player that you used to coach at the Steel. When you look at the Wolves roster as it's constructed right now, I know you haven't really had a ton of time to work with the guys, but is there a player that you're like really chomping at the bit to be able to help them in their development?
I haven't dug into it honestly yet. The first thing that comes to mind, it would be Sealy, who played for Canada in the World Juniors. Just excited to have a player of that caliber in his first year. And that'd be the first one that comes to mind. I thought he did great for Canada in the World Juniors, in the summer version of World Juniors. So. But other than that, I haven't really got too deep into it. I've seen like the possible roster, and yesterday I just got hooked up with all like the video software, so we haven't got that far yet where I've dove into each player. So once I get into that, I'll have a better idea.
What's the difference in that sort of stuff? Like the access to video and like that.
There's definitely different. We've had access with the Chicago Steel, the Sport Logic and whatnot, but Carolina has their own analytics software that they've developed. It was really cool to go through everything that they're looking for, how they're developing their expected goal model as opposed to what I've seen or what we did in Chicago, and just the amount of information that you can pull up on each player. I think analytics is a big piece of the game right now. I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I think hockey also has an art to it, so you have to be able to blend both. But to be dismissive of the analytics side, I think, is also a mistake.
So, like be specific, right? So let's say, it's on your phone, on your laptop.
Yeah. Okay,
so you can open up your phone. You got everyone in the Hurricane system on your phone, right?
Yeah, every single.
And you punch in Teuvo Teravainen. And is it like, here's his stats and here's his video? Is it like a bunch of video?
Here's all his zone entries for the year. Here's every.
That's so cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's really cool, or like how often does this player carry the puck into the zone, and then what happens from there? Like, so I was I got lost in it a little bit yesterday. So
That's an easy rabbit hole to fall.
Yeah,
down.
But like I know what I'm looking for certain positions, certain players. I actually looked up Sean Farrell's season with us 2 years ago, where we're looking at his zone entries, and it was amazing to see the balance, like something we talk about. I was like, I'd be interested to see with Sean, like how many cut-ups did he have, how many times did he gain depth below the top of the circles, and like the balance of his entries was amazing. It was pretty cool to see.
So how do you balance all that information and also like what you're observing from the bench and what you're observing on can it be, I'd imagine it can be almost overwhelming with how much you have.
I think that's what a learning process for me, but we had we did things, we had Sport Logic with the steel, which does the same type of stuff. I would just know you get used to there's certain metrics that I think are indicative of how we're playing, and there's times where the emotion of the game can get in the way of what actually happened in the game, positively or negatively.
Yeah.
So it allows you to step back and look at it and be like, man, I thought we played really well. Wait, actually, we did not play that well in that game. We won the game, but really, like, we gave up our expected goals was way too high, especially off the rush. Why was that? It leads to questions, and then it helps me, for me, build practice and what we need to look at.
So as a coach, when you imagine like what the fans have access to, you just mentioned expected goals.
Yeah.
We're always looking at Corsi and Fenwick and zone starts. To you, if there's one that really tells the story, which stat would that be?
For me, expected goals, scoring chances, however you do that.
Yeah.
Not like for me, that is like not for everybody, but the Chicago Steel, we got outshot all the time. I could care less if we had 40 shots. What's the quality? Are we recovering those pucks? Are we now generating another high-quality chance from that? Or are we taking wasteful shots that are just turning into exits for the opponent or loss of possession for us? That's just a simple – I'm just going to stop right there.
It's funny because I always thought I was a big believer in that, and I thought back to the Hawks series against the Coyotes where Hossa got hit by Torres. That whole series where the Hawks had like all the tons of shots on goal, but none of them were difficult.
Yeah.
And that sort of took my brain and said, well, stop focusing on the generation numbers and the quality of chances.
Where are those shots coming from? And you can take a shot from a bad spot on the ice that might lead to a high-quality chance, but if there's no one around the net or, there are one-and-done opportunities, it's useless, right? So at times with the Steel, we probably actually went too far we were a very possession-style team compared to, say, most NHL teams that will resort to a lot of volume. But it was also the level, and it was helping facilitate our players being able to make plays at a high level and read the game. So that's something that I will have to adjust to a certain degree, but I still truly believe that it's better to generate more high-quality chances than to just have a lot of shots. If you do both.
Well, yeah, both would be great. That's ideal. All right, we got one more question for you. I know we talked about Fantilli a little bit, but my mind's been thinking about him a lot because I'm on board. I think the Hawks are not going to be the worst team in the league, which gives me fear that they will not get the first overall pick. So I've been thinking about Fantilli a lot. If there's an NHL player now that you could say is a pretty solid comp to him, what would it be?
Well,
or who would it be?
It depends, right? Like if he hits, I think he has some McKinnon in him. I really believe that. I really do believe that. If you watch like the pace that he plays with, the physicality that he has, like, is he there yet? No, but he could be.
What's his floor?
Well, and I think that's a great question. I got to ask that question a lot about prospects. Like, look at any NHL team. How many first rounders are on the fourth line?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's teams that are built with first round draft picks. He plays for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's in your top 9, no matter what.
I'll take it.
I'll take a Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, that's
his motor is just too high.
Yeah.
His natural skill set is too high for him to not play.
If
that makes any sense.
If there's one thing he needs to maybe improve at, what would it be?
Yeah, I think that it's something that he's gotten better at. That would be just his ability to use his. Sometimes he goes 2 1-on-1. You know what I mean? Because he has those physical tools, and will that translate? What I've seen with the Steel is he's been able to make plays and use his teammates and expanded his hockey sense in a way.
I think that's it's interesting you say that because we saw another number 3 overall pick. Kirby Dach sort of had trouble with that. You can't win the one-on-ones in the NHL.
Yeah.
Now and again, you'll be able to win a one-on-one, but he kind of depended on that too much. And I think that hockey sense was kind of the last thing to come about for him. So it's interesting you say that. And I think when we talked last time, we talked about, guys working their way up. USHL players have been the best player on their team their whole life. Then they make it to the USHL, and then those guys get weeded out.
Yeah.
Then they go up and they get weeded out. It's learning to adjust to those higher levels, and it sounds like Fantilli's on his way to figuring that out.
Yeah, we forced him to.
Yeah.
And the best part about Adam is he recognized it, and he's not a stubborn, like he wasn't a stubborn player. Like you give him something to work on, he'll try to add it to his game. You know, he couldn't kill penalties for us as a first-year player. He might have been our best penalty killer as a second-year player for us. There's guys that I've had that are high draft picks that we could not kill. You know, like we tried and worked with them, but if they don't want to do it, if they don't have the ability to add those layers, they won't do it. You know, he did it, wanted it, went after it. Like wants to be a complete player. And is he done yet? None of these guys are done.
Right.
And the best thing about a guy like him is like you have to kick him off the ice. He's gonna work at it.
All right, Lawrence, we got to save this audio for next spring in case it happens. Fingers crossed. Brock Sheahan, thanks for being our guest. We got the Wolves promotional schedule here. Came out today. Sunday, March 18th, bobblehead giveaway. It doesn't say who. Have you been a bobblehead before? And if not, are you looking forward to it?
I would say it's not me. There's a lot of Wolves legendary players. I'm sure it's one of them.
Oh, we got to make it happen. Chris Cook is here. He brought Brock in. You remember Chris from the Blackhawks beat for years. You got to make a Brock Sheahan bobblehead happen. Of me? You're going to need a bigger head. I don't think there's enough clay in the world for a bobblehead for me, but that would be a lot of fun.
Bobblehead there.
It would be just a head, just a box with a head in it, which is what everybody wants. Brock, thanks for being here, man. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me, guys.
It's always great seeing you. Good luck with the season. I'm sure we'll see you around Rosemont and elsewhere.
Yeah.
Go get him, man. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Brock.
Want to remind everybody, as always, we're brought to you by PointsBet Sportsbook, and they are counting down the days until the football season with a new offer every day until the season kicks off. So from now until September 8th, PointsBet Power Hour unlocks a new daily offer from noon to 12 p.m. Central. That's every day from now until September 8th. So what do you need to do? Very simple. Download that PointsBet app. When you do, sign up with the code CHGO. When you do that, you're also going to get risk-free bets up to $2,000. Don't miss out on your chance to get daily access to free bets, boosted odds, and so much more now through September 8th. But that's not all. Make a $51 or more first-time deposit, and you'll receive a free CHGO membership. That gets you all of our great web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you missed it yesterday, the brand new QB1 design is out. Go to chgolocker.com to check that one out. It looks awesome. Download the PointsBet app today. Use the code CHGO to take advantage of this limited time offer. Don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. And if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
Woo.
That was fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
I just like talking hockey with hockey people.
Yeah.
You know?
I do like that you said you followed up on the be specific.
Yeah.
Like
I was
about
hoping he would take his phone out and show us, but that might be asking too much. But
that'd be selling the secrets.
Just
but
the amount of data, and especially since NHL players have been started wearing the trackers on the back of their jerseys.
How that started
where
up.
Every shift and every stride is measured. It's got to be, as a coach, it's got to be overwhelming to have this much data at your hands. And like Brock said, you're watching a game, you think you play pretty well, and you open up the app and you're like, whoa, that was hot garbage. You know what I mean? Like, we really did not play that well and don't deserve that win. But I think also, with that knowledge comes but I should trust my eyes a little bit.
Yep.
Right? Like, maybe the zone entries weren't great because he was going in against Victor Hedman and not random Riley Stillman.
Right.
There's factors that make a difference. So I just think that's really interesting, and how, especially hockey, in such a short time, has made such a big jump analytically. They've been really behind. They still are behind the other sports, and that's why Jeff Greenberg was brought into the Blackhawks to kind of catch the Hawks up in that analytic department. But it's interesting to see how big of a jump has been made in such a short time.
Well, and you think about just how much is available to the general public as far as that information and where, I hate to use the term analytics community because it's all intertwined now. Right. But how analytics how it's been used in hockey and especially how it's kind of educated to a certain degree the fan base generally of hockey and how it's made people watch the game differently. It's crazy how that has changed over the years. And I too am of the sense that like analytics and how they break down the game are very important to an extent. If you only look at numbers and you're not really taking into, like Brock said, taking into consideration the flow of a game, the emotion of a game, and how things unfold in the moment. You only get a certain degree of the story that those numbers are telling. So I think that there is a lot to it. It's brought a lot of value, but I think if you only look at charts, graphs, numbers, whatever, and you base and I was re-listening to our episode from Monday where we were asked about Seth Jones being a top 20 NHL defenseman, and I feel like coming into last season, I think a lot of the narrative around a player like Seth Jones got muddied up because he didn't have the most beautiful charts and graphs, and therefore, a chunk of the hockey world was just like, look at these numbers. He's no good. He's not worth his contract extension. That's when you have to kind of take into consideration game flow. What's he do that doesn't show up? And in certain situations. So I think I'm glad that Jay, you kind of had Brock talk a little bit more about that and how much it goes into, breaking down a player and teaching them how to develop, what to work on, and everything like that.
Yeah, that's the trick these days, and not just hockey, but all sports, is finding that fine line of the eye test and the analytics. You need both. Like, numbers are numbers, but you got to have context for those numbers.
Right.
Like, you can just look at a guy's stats you've never watched play and be like, you could base your opinion on if he's good or not by those numbers, but those numbers have a context to them. Like, as Brock kind of alluded to, like, a shot on goal is not just a shot on goal. Is it a good shot? Does it have a chance to go in? If you see a stat and you say, hey, the Blackhawks were outshot 41-10, they probably lost that game 5-0. Then you go, oh wait, they won 2-1. Well, yeah, because maybe they had 4 danger scoring chances and they cashed in on 2 of them. Where the opponent had 41 shots, but only one of them was a high. Like, so that's where the analytics come in. I think some people get turned off because it's like, oh, you're just a nerd with his graphs and charts and you just want to look at numbers. No, analytics is more of, it's right there in the word. It's analyzing the numbers and putting them into the proper context, saying, to just the naked eye looking at these numbers, it doesn't look good. But because we are able to break it down, it's not as bad as it looks, or maybe it's worse than it looks.
Yeah, sure.
Like, there's every shift is different. Every shot is different. Every block is different. Like, how you got to put it all in the context, and that's where the analytics comes in, is putting a player's performance in the proper context, so you can kind of say, how does he perform against other top line players versus how does he perform when he's out there against the fourth line? You would hope those numbers would be a little bit different.
I think one of the best. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I think one of the best examples of how analytics only go a certain distance in telling the story is most hockey analytic models do not value Patrick Kane because he has no value defensively. Right. And so when you look at like a player's expected WAR or whatever in hockey, Patrick Kane is like in the bottom 10 percentile. Well, yeah. You don't pay Patrick Kane $10.5 million to play defense. You pay him that much to go score 20, 30, 40 goals and 100 points. Like, that's what his value is. So you're not going to say, oh, he's one of the bottom 10% of the league value-wise. No. He's a top 15, top 20 player in the entire league.
He's there to win Hart trophies, not Selke trophies.
Exactly. So it's I always love when people put up, like, on Twitter, like, Patrick Kane's, like, graphs and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. He's trash defensively, but he's one of the best offensive players, pure offensive players in the league.
32 NHL GMs will take him on his team in a heartbeat.
Exactly, yeah.
And even for him offensively, I've talked to players in the past who have said it can be difficult playing with Kane because he's so good and so, like, you don't think a pass is going to be on your stick, and you look down and the puck's going past you, you're like, shit.
He's not looking at you, and then half second later, you have the puck. Yeah.
But Kane's offense is also predicated on him having the puck and generating one or two excellent scoring chances. He's not just going to pepper the net with shots.
Right.
He's going to weave his way through, stick handle through, either pass or shoot once he's created a one-and-done opportunity, but a really good one-and-done opportunity. And that's the context that Greg's talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Kane's not looking to crash the net and generate a bunch of shots on goal that are just going to, get absorbed by the goalie. He's looking for that one perfect look, either from himself or from the person he's passing to. Look at DeBrincat. Look at Panarin. Look at the goals those guys scored from Patrick Kane putting the perfect pass in a perfect place at the perfect time.
Yeah.
It's a one and done, and that's not going to show up in the possession numbers. It's going to show up where it matters on that giant jumbotron.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, 12 minutes ago, now 14 minutes ago, TSN Hockey on Twitter published a story about Adam Fantilli. He talked to Mark Masters. Adam Fantilli, a top prospect in the 2023 NHL draft, models his game after Nathan McKinnon with a blend of Patrice Bergeron.
I mean, hey, if you want to meld together two players and be effective at both ends of the ice, Nathan McKinnon and Patrice Bergeron, you can't think of two better ones to put together.
I mean, if he hits that's a Hall of Famer.
If he hits one of those two,
Exactly. Like,
he's a perennial all-star.
all I gotta say is we are just driving the content around the hockey world these days, aren't
Yeah.
we?
It's
It's
we
funny
had-
how this
weird.
all seems to emanate from this studio.
Mark Masters must have been watching us and said, it's a good idea. Here's a story.
Yep.
That's exactly how it
But
happened.
check that
He
out.
didn't
I'm going to
write
watch
that,
it when I
3
get home.
days ago.
It looks
he's
like
he's not alone in that category.
I wonder if these are. I'll bet these are region locked.
Probably. No, the articles are usually.
they videos?
It's the videos.
These are video.
Oh,
These are
yeah.
video.
The
interviews.
videos are usually content.
Yeah, which is so silly.
Geo-locked.
Suck it, Canada.
Yeah. I know you hate American hockey teams, but there are fans down here that want to get your content too.
Oddly enough,
He's
the
gotta-
ads are not region locked.
No, of course
funny
not.
how that
Oh,
works.
that's the worst.
Yeah,
when
you got to
it
watch a
plays the
30-second ad that then be told you can't watch the video.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch where I hit play, so I'll let you guys know in 16 seconds if you'll be able to
yes.
watch it or
Well,
not.
you just
But-
need
16
to get
seconds,
those,
almost enough time to score 2 goals.
What are those? What's the? It's not ISP or
VPN.
What? VPN.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you got to figure
Oh,
that.
I've got those.
Out. Yeah.
Those are very easy to get. You
Yeah,
need
so
those
you can
to
watch.
illegally watch other hockey games.
You could sneak
over
around the
years.
GO block.
Oh, it's working.
Oh, look at that.
It is
All right.
working.
There
All right.
you go.
Well, before Canada takes it down, go watch that on after this show, of course.
Yeah, we'll
I
be-
retweeted it from my personal account. I will tweet the story as well from the CHGO Blackhawks Twitter account. And if you're not following it, now is the time.
Do it.
At CHGO_Blackhawks. And did you get over 5,000 yesterday?
Yes, we're at 5,002.
Nice.
Nice.
It was a little
There you go.
Crossed the
Horowitz.
threshold
Nice. There we go.
yesterday.
Very good.
Yeah, I think we pay so much attention, or have so far this offseason, to Connor Bedard and the goal of getting the best odds at the first overall pick and hopefully landing the first overall pick for the Blackhawks, that we sometimes forget. We say, like, oh, yeah, or they might get Matvei Michkov or Adam Fantilli. We sort of forget that those two players are, in any other draft class, the number
They're the
one
Connor
prospect.
Bedard of that
Exactly.
draft,
So,
yeah.
so hearing a guy like Brock Sheahan, who's coached Adam Fantilli 2 seasons already, as he has made a name for himself in the 2023 draft class, speak about his work ethic, his mind, his physicality, just the complete player that he is, and say, like, at worst he's in your top 9. I mean, that there's not many players that you can say are like that. And so, if the term consolation prize, I think we've mentioned a few times before, it's almost disrespectful to a player like Fantilli, who
It's one hell of a consolation.
who is like, yeah, I mean, and who knows, as this year goes on, as we saw with Shane Wright, sometimes the consensus number 1 drops a little bit, and
Well, you already get-
the gap between Bedard and Michkov and Fantilli could shrink a little
Well,
bit.
you're already hearing some of that from not pundits, but
former
people on Twitter.
former NHL
Yeah,
scouts.
or just fans that'd be like,
Former.
"Whoa, Connor Bedard didn't have a point in the gold medal game. I don't think he's that good." Like
Sure.
you're gonna hear that a lot. Like if Connor Bedard doesn't score 300 points this season, people are
might.
gonna be like, so he might.
He might, but yeah,
Let him slip.
You know, the unofficial CHGO, currently unofficial, maybe official, but the currently unofficial CHGO road trip to South Bend in November to watch Slaggert, Rolston, and Nazar. We'll also get to see Fantilli.
Yep.
So that'll be a good game to go
And
see.
if you are enjoying our prospect discussion here, then tomorrow's show is going to be all for you guys because Corey Pronman of The Athletic will be joining us on our Thursday show. We'll talk about the current state of the Blackhawks prospects pool right now, but I'm sure we can get into
We'll dive into.
We can ask him if he believes that Adam Fantilli will be the next Nathan McKinnon. And talk about the Bedard and all that fun stuff. I love the prospect stuff, especially for where the Hawks are right now. Just a quick question our guy Michael asked that he's going to go to Rockford for a few games this year.
Nice.
Asking for hotels. I've never stayed in a hotel in Rockford. I've always come right back. But I do know there is a fairly new, within the last couple of years, Embassy Suites about 500 feet from the front gate of the BMO Harris Center. Doesn't get any more convenient. Like you literally roll out of your room into your seats. So check that out if you're going to head out there.
And No Roids Just Rage says, "Hey guys, should I try and get a Bedard signature on my Hawks hat? I got my tickets for the season."
Yes.
Go for it. I mean, even if he's not a Hawk, it's still a valuable signature.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. So yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't get it and then the Hawks don't get him, it will be your fault.
Yep, we will blame you.
Yes.
100%.
Or just bring just a blank puck just in your back pocket just in case.
Yeah, there you go.
Get the Hawks hat signed, and then here, can you also get this puck for me, just in case you don't land in Chicago.
By the way, No Roids reminds me, we have had such incredible feedback over the last week from people on Twitter and on. I mean, really, thank you all for the kind words.
Appreciate it.
This offseason has not been as challenging content-wise as we had maybe feared it would be. But still hearing that from you on August 31st, that means a lot. We had very little hockey season left when the show got off the ground, and we really kind of built things during the offseason.
Very little fun things to talk about.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. So thanks for all the kind words, all the kind comments. No Roids, Just Rage was one of the people doing it, and I saw the other was Frank Nazar for Calder 2024 is the Twitter name. No pressure.
The official Calder campaign for Frank Nazar is a fan of the show.
Started.
So we appreciate that.
It's a good time to remind you, though, if you are really enjoying what we're doing, a great thing to do is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because a 4-star review is basically a 0-star review. So 5 stars, please. And make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications. And make sure if you're on YouTube, where a lot of you are right now, smash that like button. We would greatly appreciate that. And, of course, subscribe to our YouTube page also. And we got on the screen here the new Justin Fields. Can I say his name when discussing the shirt?
I think that's allowed.
He's in our ad reads that are going to be.
You're going to hear about Justin Fields in a second here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So grab that shirt, chgolocker.com, or, of course, if you join PointsBet, make that $51 or more first-time deposit with the code CHGO. You will get a free CHGO membership, and you could pick the shirt of your choice. We recommend the Blackhawks one, of course. But if you want to get one of the Bears ones in time for the season, any of them, go for them. They're all great. They're all wonderful. I have, I think, 6 CHGO shirts now.
Nice.
So I just got one the other day when we had our summer sale. So jump on that.
Is expanding.
Work uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tax write-off.
There you go.
There
Just
you
write
go.
it off.
Yeah, speaking of Justin Fields and the good things he does, as Lawrence there is showing you the Chicago Sky shirt for our Sky podcast.
Game 2, big game.
Game 2.
Best of
big
5
game 2.
series, right?
Yeah.
Big game 2
Big
for
one.
the
Do
Do
Chicago
you call this
Sky.
game pivotal?
I think it's pivotal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it seems
If you're down 0-2 in a best of 5, you're
It's
not in
not
a good
good.
spot.
It's
So.
not ideal, but the Sky proved in the first round. I know it's a step up in class a little bit, but they proved that, hey, let's not sweat that first game so much. So we'll see what kind of response. I mean, the last time I lost the game 1, they made history the next game. So Not predicting that, but I think we're getting a big bounce back from our Sky.
I'm guaranteeing a Sky victory tonight.
There it
Sky
is.
and
There you
4,
go.
baby.
Headlines.
Sky and 4.
He says with the recrowned Skytown towel over his shoulder.
For
there.
a second there, I thought I was sitting next to Mark Messier. That's how that.
I'm shaving my beard, not my head.
There you go.
I might not come back. All right, tell us about Justin Fields.
All right, Justin Fields. Well, it's not necessarily just about Justin Fields, but it is about what fuels Justin Fields. And that is Owen, spelled OWYN. It stands for Only What You Need. It is a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works just as hard as you do. All of Owen's products are free of artificial ingredients. They are allergen-friendly. They don't contain any gluten or dairy and are thus easily digestible. Again, Justin Fields is a purveyor of the Owen products. It has helped him become QB1 here in Chicago, the inspiration for the newest CHGO Bears shirt. So if it's good enough for Justin Fields, it should be good enough for you. And to make it easy to get your hands on some Owen, CHGO and Owen are partnering up to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off of your first purchase when you go to liveowen.com and use the promo code CHGO20. That's 20% off at liveowen.com with CHGO20 as the promo code for your first purchase. So be like Justin Fields. Get yourself some Owen. Again, that's OWYN, only what you need.
I try not to get fall for it every year with my Bears optimism. But seeing what Justin Fields was able to do in the preseason, it's hard not to at least be excited for him.
Oh, yeah.
I got here early enough to catch the second half of our Bears show with Adam and Kevin, and they were just saying, "Hey," Adam was saying, he gave me exactly what I wanted to see from him, so it's exciting. I'm not predicting 17-0 just yet, but maybe.
Having a team that is going to try and build around the quarterback is a good idea in this day and age in the NFL.
It is. And it's exciting, and Bears season is right around the corner. Hockey season is almost here. That means the NBA is almost here. Baseball playoffs are right around the corner. Probably not for any Chicago teams.
For some teams.
But for almost, what do they got? 18 teams in the MLB playoffs now? How many go?
I believe it's 14, or
14,
did they
that's
knock
too
out
many.
the...
I don't know.
Way too many. Anywho.
I only have room for hockey.
Exciting times. Hockey's almost here. Football's almost here. Baseball playoffs, NBA. And if you want to get decked out in your favorite officially merchandised team gear, go check out our friends over at FOCO, because they have got the best sports gear around. And it's not just apparel. They've got everything from hoodies to signs, slippers, bobbleheads, back to the bobbleheads.
There you go.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check out our buddies at
Control
FOCO. You want to get decked out like Justin Fields, all Bears head to toe. You want to get decked out, hopefully like Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli next year. Blackhawks head to toe. Head over to FOCO, FOCO.com, and check them out. If you're watching on YouTube, again, smash that like button, but scroll down. There's a link to FOCO right there in the description, so you can follow that link and hook yourself up with some great merchandise ahead of the fall. Beat the fall rush. Get your hoodies and jackets now before they're hard to find at your favorite store or website. Once again, that's FOCO, FOCO.com. And as a special bonus for being a CHGO listener, use the promo code CHGO at checkout, and you'll receive 10% off all non-sale items at checkout. Good stuff.
Fall is definitely upon us. I went and got a coffee before the show. No, I asked for a specific flavor, brown sugar cream cold brew, and I was pushed the pumpkin cold brew, and I said no. I am not. It's not September yet. Pumpkin is not officially a flavor yet for this guy.
You've got
more
about
day.
10 hours left before you can do the pumpkin spice.
Yes, at midnight I will have a bowl of pumpkin spice Cheerios in my pumpkin spice oat milk with my sweater, and
I'm not anti-pumpkin spice.
Yeah, like what you like.
I like it in
except train.
small doses, in certain things. I love pumpkin pie.
Sure.
I don't mind a pumpkin spice coffee every once in a while, as long as it's not overpowering. I'm not a big flavored coffee guy, but I don't mind it if it's like a hint of. I don't want it overpowering.
not a big pumpkin person.
It's fine when
I like
I'm in
carving
the mood
them.
for it.
I like carving a pumpkin,
Yeah,
It's like we talked about yesterday. It's not so much the actual product; it's the people that enjoy it that bother you. Like pumpkin spice culture is annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas
It's
a pumpkin
very-
spice is actually pretty damn
Yeah,
good.
pumpkin spice is fine. It's one of those things where you're like, I don't want to admit that I'm having a pumpkin spice coffee because I don't want to get called basic by some 14-year-old on Twitter.
Exactly. I'm more of a
So
scary
basic.
spice guy
And I'm as
myself.
basic as they get. I'll be the first to admit it. I just don't want that to be out there.
All right, we're going to wrap things up. Reminder, tomorrow, 1:30, The Athletics' Corey Pronman, talking all things prospects and potential draft prospects as well. Don't miss that show. And a little bit of breaking baseball news here. According to Bob Nightingale, Tony La Russa will be out indefinitely while undergoing medical testing with his doctors in Arizona. The CHGO Sox podcast will be all over that tonight. They're on at 6:30 and also for postgame, so make sure you don't miss that show with that bit of news here.
Whoa.
What else we got? Anything else we need to
I
mention?
have a quick thought.
Yeah.
Lawrence has a quick thought.
Is it true there's cake here?
I did see cake.
There's a lot
There
of
is
cake
cake?
over there.
There's cake here, yes.
Should we
Lots
talk
of
about
it.
the cake?
There's
There's
cake.
a cake. Oh, look
for
at that
all
right
the
there.
nights.
I'm wrapping up my weekly trivia nights this week, and this was from my my regulars on my Tuesday night crew in Edison Park. My better half, Stacy, was the operation manager of this project, but a
Nice.
very nice gesture from my Tuesday night folks on my
Awesome.
last weekly trivia night there. So yes, and you guys are going to reap because there is a ton of cake.
Yeah, I'm looking
and
forward
it's
to
over
that.
there in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Grab some so I don't have to take the containers home.
I've been stuck at this desk for like 3 hours now.
It's
so
going to
I'm
be worth
excited
the
to
wait.
go over
You can
there.
have like multiple pieces. There's a lot there. I
No,
will do
not that.
Marble cake with custard from the Jewels.
Yeah.
Oh,
quite
it's from the
delicious.
Jewels? You know it's good, my friend.
Jules.
They
I
got-
was a little afraid because the last person that sent us food here might be trying to poison us now. So I was just steering clear of any food I did not verify its origins.
No, I had 2 pieces last night, and I'm still breathing. So
All right, good.
all
it's a sheet cake from the Jewels, my friend.
That's
How can
exactly
you go
right.
wrong?
Good.
It tastes like bratwurst.
Also want to mention, if you missed it earlier this morning, Blackhawks released the information for the Tom Curvers
Yes.
Rookie Showcase, which will be happening here in town, September 14th to the 18th. There are 3 practices scheduled, 2 games scheduled. They will be the Blackhawks rookies and prospects against the Minnesota Wild rookies and prospects. All of the festivities are open to the public and free. So if you want to check out some of the future Blackhawks and some of the guys that we've been fawning over the last few weeks as we look to the future in Chicago, they will be here and they will be taking on the Wild prospects, and that'll lead right into training camp, which isn't official yet, but as we said yesterday, will likely happen shortly after that rookie showcase wraps up.
It's all starting. Before we know it, it's going to be October.
Yep.
and hockey will
That
be
summer
here.
that we thought was going to drag on sure came and went by real
about it?
fast.
Yes, it did.
By the way, Tom
God.
Curver's Prospect Showcase at the Fifth Third Arena, not the United Center.
Yes.
So don't show up. They're undoing the painting we did yesterday. Like, God, what did toddlers do this? Yikes. Anyway, check out yesterday's show, by the way. We had a lot of fun talking about
was a good time.
some great sports experiences we've had, reflecting on our opportunity to paint the United Center ice. So if you missed it, go watch it. If you didn't, join us tomorrow for Corey Pronman, 1:30 p.m. Prospects. It's going to be a good time. Thanks to Lawrence for spinning the dials. We're going to go get some cake. Thanks for listening and watching the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.